The call came while I was still hooked to an IV, staring at a hospital ceiling that looked like it had been designed to erase time. My phone buzzed against the thin blanket, and when I saw the caller, ID, Crown Harbor Residences, concierge, my stomach tightened before I even answered. "Ms. Lane?" a man's voice said, tense but trying to sound professional. "This is Devin at the front desk. I'm sorry to bother you while you're hospitalized, but do you have guests in your penthouse?" For a second, my brain tried to make it harmless. Friends dropping by. A housekeeper? A delivery. But Devin didn't sound like that. "No," I said calmly. "Why?" There was a pause, like he was choosing his words carefully. "We've had multiple unfamiliar names added to the elevator list," he said. "And building security flagged a new door code on one that isn't in our system from you." My throat went dry. I didn't scream. I didn't ask, "Are you sure?" Like that would change a log. I pushed myself upright slowly, ignoring the sting in my side, and opened the resident app on my phone. Crown Harbor had a system for everything: elevator authorization, guest access, package notifications, even a digital record of door code updates. It was supposed to be convenience. In that moment, it felt like a surveillance camera pointed at my life. The screen loaded, and I saw it. A list of names I didn't recognize. Troy K. Mia R. Jules. Sam +2, stacked under penthouse elevator access. My fingers stayed steady as I scrolled. There was a timestamp beside each name. A pattern: late afternoon, late night, early morning. Then I tapped door access. A red banner appeared. Code updated. Not by me. My lungs tightened, but my voice stayed level. "Devin," I said, "lock my unit down. No one goes up, not a single person. And I need the manager." "We can't deny the registered occupant," he started. "I'm the registered occupant," I cut in, still calm. "I'm in a hospital bed. If anyone claims they're me, that's fraud. Put security on the elevator and call the property manager now." He swallowed audibly. "Yes, ma'am." I stared at the app again. There was a smaller line underneath the door code change. Requested by A. Lane, verified resident contact. My fingers went cold, because I knew exactly who that was. Ari Lane, my younger sister. The same sister who'd been helping while I was sick. The same sister who'd smiled too sweetly when she visited, asking questions that sounded caring until you heard what was underneath. "How long do they think you'll be here? Do you have anyone checking the place? Can you still work from your phone?" I told myself she was just being nosy the way she always was. Now I understood she'd been gathering logistics. I didn't call Ari to argue. Arguing is what she feeds on. Arguing gives her sound bites. Instead, I texted one person. My friend and attorney, Kendra Shaw. "My building says unfamiliar guests are accessing my penthouse, and my door code was changed. I'm hospitalized. I suspect Ari. Need immediate steps plus preservation," Kendra replied in less than a minute. "Tell them to preserve key fob logs plus elevator logs plus all hallway/elevator/lobby camera footage in writing. Do not confront her. I'm on standby." Good. Because Crown Harbor had cameras everywhere. Elevator interiors, hallways, the lobby, loading dock, and even the service corridor that led to penthouse deliveries. People forget cameras exist when they're busy feeling entitled. I opened the app again and tapped the building message feature. "This is Claire Lane in PH. I am currently hospitalized and did not authorize guests or change my door code. Preserve all access logs and all camera footage, lobby, elevator, hallway, loading dock, service corridor, immediately. No one is authorized to enter my unit." My thumb hovered for a second. Then I hit send. Only after I sent it did my hands start to shake faintly. Not panic, more like my body catching up to what my mind was already doing. Drawing a straight line from hospital bed to someone inside my home. A nurse walked in to check my vitals and saw my face. You okay, honey? I will be, I said, and meant it in the most controlled way possible. And 2 hours later, Devin called back. Ms. Lane, he said, quieter now. The manager is here. We stopped elevator access to your floor. Security is stationed at the private lift. Good, I said. What did they say about the code change? Another pause. It was requested through the resident contact on file, he said. Your sister's number is listed as secondary. Of course it was. Months ago, after a minor scare, me locked out after a late meeting, I'd asked Ari to be my backup contact, just in case. She'd acted offended, like I didn't trust her. Now I understood she'd been waiting for just in case. Put the manager on, I said. A different voice came on, older, crisp, the kind that was used to residents yelling. This is Martin Edow's property manager, he said. Ms. Lane, we've secured your floor, however, yet we have guests claiming they're renting the unit. I blinked once. Renting it, I repeated, still calm. Yes, he said carefully. They're saying they have a short-term agreement. My pulse hit once, hard. Crown Harbor doesn't allow short-term rentals, I said. We do not, he agreed. That's why we're calling you. I stared at the ceiling again, the same blank tiles, and felt something settle in my chest like a weight. Ari didn't just let people in. She was monetizing my absence. Martin, I said, I want every single access log preserved. Key fob logs, elevator authorization logs, door code change records, and I want the camera footage saved right now, not later, right now. Yes, he said, and his voice had shifted. Less defensive, more serious. We'll place a preservation hold. And Martin, I added, I tell security to photograph the condition of the unit if they can do it legally from the doorway and document any visible damage. He hesitated. We can document common areas. Entry requires authority. I'll provide it, I said. I'm being discharged soon. I wasn't, technically, not yet. But I needed my body to cooperate with my timeline. That night, I barely slept. My IV beeped. Nurses walked in and out. I kept replaying the idea of strangers touching my things, my couch, my glassware, my private closet, while my sister smiled in my face during visiting hours. The next morning, my doctor signed my discharge papers with the same casual motion people use to sign receipts. By early afternoon, Miles, my husband, wheeled me out to the curb and the cold air hit my skin like reality. I didn't talk much on the drive home. Not because I didn't have words, because I was saving them for the moment they would matter. When we pulled into the underground garage, the first thing I saw was security. 2 guards standing unusually stiff near the private elevator. Martin was waiting in the lobby with a tablet in his hand, face tight. Ms. Lane, he said quickly. Thank you for coming. We have an incident report started. I nodded once. Take me upstairs? I said. The elevator ride felt too quiet. Even the soft music felt wrong. When the doors opened onto the penthouse corridor, I smelled it before I saw it. Wine. Sweet. Sour. Stale. My front door was shut, but the frame looked wrong, like it had been forced, then cleaned up badly. Martin slid a keycard into the panel and glanced at me. We reset the code to your original, he said. Security escorted the guests out earlier. They left quickly. I didn't respond. I just watched the door unlock. Martin pushed it open, and my home looked like someone had taken a celebration and turned it into vandalism. A suitcase lay on my white sofa like it belonged there. A glittering heel, single, abandoned, sat on my marble counter. Wine stains bled across my rug in a dark, ugly bloom. One of my framed prints was cracked, hanging crooked like it was ashamed to still be on the wall. My throat tightened. Miles inhaled sharply behind me. Claire. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I rolled forward slowly, scanning like a person who knew this wasn't just mess. It was evidence. On my dining table, there were empty bottles. not cheap ones. Mine. In the corner, my decorative vase was shattered, ceramic shards glittering like teeth. And near my bedroom hallway, I saw something that made my stomach drop all over again. A strip of blue painter's tape on the floor like someone had marked a boundary. That's what people do when they're moving things. When they're staging. When they're trying to keep track of what they took. I turned to Martin. "Front desk," I said calmly. "Now." He blinked. "Ms. Lane, you should sit." "Front desk," I repeated, because I wasn't going to stand in the wreckage and let my sister's choices become my emotions. I was going to turn her choices into a file. At the lobby desk, Martin pulled up his tablet and typed fast. Devin stood nearby, eyes wide, like he'd never seen a penthouse resident look this calm while being violated. "Key fob log," I said. "Elevator log. And pull the camera index for the last week." Martin nodded and tapped through menus. A list appeared. Timestamps, fob IDs, access points. He scrolled. And then he stopped. Not because he'd found something confusing, because he'd found something definitive. He went quiet for a long moment, staring at the screen like it had offended him. "What?" I asked. Martin swallowed and turned the tablet toward me. "Every entry," he said, voice low, "matches your sister's fob." And then he scrolled one more time, just a little, and his face tightened in a way that made me understand the next line before he even said it. "Ms. Lane?" he added quietly. "The cameras show she wasn't alone." Martin didn't say it like gossip. He said it like a liability. He guided me into the building's small security office behind the front desk. 2 monitors on the wall, or a DVR console, a sign that reminded staff camera footage as property of the building. Devin stood in the doorway, pale, like he was hoping this wasn't about to become a lawsuit. Martin tapped through folders on his tablet. "We have coverage in the lobby, elevators, hallways, loading dock, and service corridor," he said. "Not inside units. But we can track who went up, when, and with what." "Start with the elevator," I said calmly. He pulled up the private lift camera. The timestamp in the corner showed the day before, late evening. The elevator doors opened on my floor and my sister stepped out like she owned the place, sunglasses on her head, phone in her hand, smiling at someone just out of frame. Then she turned back into the elevator and waved, and 3 strangers walked out behind her dragging suitcases. My jaw tightened, but my voice didn't move. "Next clip," I said. Martin swiped. Another timestamp. Early morning. My sister again, same fob, same posture, this time holding a bottle of champagne like she was arriving at a resort. Behind her were 2 people carrying shopping bags and a large duffel. One of them bumped the hallway wall with the suitcase and didn't even care. Devin's voice cracked from the doorway. "That's your floor," he whispered. "Yes," I said, staring at the screen. "That's my home." Martin kept scrolling through the index like he couldn't believe how many clips there were. Each one was clean proof. My sister entering first, then guests. My sister leaving last, then guests. My sister using her fob to call the private lift down again and again, like she'd turned my place into a revolving door. "My no key fob log matches these timestamps," Martin said quietly. "It's consistent." Consistent. The best word in the world when you're building a case. I didn't ask how many times yet. I didn't want to feed my own anger. I wanted the strongest facts first. "Show me the door code change," I said. Martin opened another menu. "Access credential management," he murmured, then tapped an entry. A line appeared. Door code updated with a timestamp. Under it, requested by secondary contact. Verification. Phone callback. "I never approved a phone callback," I said. Devin shifted. "We called the number on file," he admitted, eyes apologetic. "It was listed as your backup." She answered like Like she was you. She knew your date of birth. She knew your unit number. She knew the security question. My throat tightened. What security question? I asked. Devin swallowed. Mother's maiden name. Of course, Ari hadn't broken into my life. She'd used the parts of it she grew up with. Martin held the tablet out. The system shows the callback was completed, he said. Then the code was changed. Miles' voice came low behind me. So she impersonated you. She rehearsed being me, I said. There's a difference. Martin cleared his throat like he didn't want to be in the middle of family dysfunction. Ms. Elaine, he said, careful. We can provide you a certified incident report for the board and for law enforcement. But we need to document everything precisely. Good, I said. Then document it. I opened my phone and called Kendra. She answered on the first ring. Claire. I'm in the building's security office, I said calmly. They pulled key fob logs and elevator footage. Every entry is Ari's fob. The code change was verified through my backup contact, her number, using our family security question. Kendra's voice stayed steady. Do they have a record of the verification call? She asked. Yes, I said. They're pulling it now. Tell them to preserve it and export it, she said, and ask for the CCTV clips showing her bringing guests with suitcases. You need visuals. I'm watching those now, I replied. Good, Kendra said. Next step, we establish motive and money. Ask the building if they've received complaints, noise reports, deliveries, cleaning requests. Anything that shows it was being operated like a rental. I looked at Martin. Complaints, I said, still calm. Noise, parties, deliveries, anything in writing. Martin's face tightened. We have incident notes, he admitted. 2 neighbors reported late-night noise. Security responded once. Your sister met them at the door and said you were out of town recovering. Recovering. That was a nice way to say hospitalized. And we have a delivery log, Martin added, voice lower. Multiple alcohol deliveries, a catering drop, and a request for extra towels. Miles exhaled sharply. Devin looked like he wanted to disappear. I kept my voice level. Pull those logs, I said. Martin tapped and a list appeared. Deliveries to my unit, time-stamped and signed by A. Lane. Each signature looked like a rushed scribble, like she couldn't even be bothered to make it believable. Then Martin hesitated. It was subtle. His thumb hovered above the screen like he'd hit something he didn't want to say out loud. What? I asked. He swallowed. There was also a service elevator request, he said. Large items. My stomach tightened. Large items like what? Martin's eyes flicked to me. Like furniture, he said. Or art, or boxes. A different coldness moved through my chest. Because trashing a place is one thing. People can be careless. Drunk. Stupid. Moving large items out is intentional. Show me the footage, I said. Martin pulled up the loading dock camera. The clip showed a white cargo van backed into the dock. The timestamp was from 2 nights ago. The loading bay door opened and my sister appeared, hair tied back, moving fast like she'd done this before. 2 men stepped out behind her. Then they wheeled a cart out of the service corridor. On the cart was a long rectangular object wrapped in a blanket. My framed print. The one that was cracked in my living room now. And only in the footage, it wasn't cracked, it was intact, carefully wrapped, being removed. My throat tightened, but I didn't let it touch my voice. Pause, I said. Martin paused. My sister turned toward the camera for half a second, gesturing with her hand like she was directing traffic. Her mouth moved. The audio wasn't recorded in the loading dock, but the motion was enough. The confidence was enough. That's not trash, Miles whispered. That's theft. I nodded once. Keep going, I said. Martin advanced frame by frame. Another cart came out with 2 boxes stacked high, then another with a tall mirror, then another with something heavy wrapped in a dark cloth that made my stomach drop because I knew the shape. My safe, not the little one. Not the little. And the wall safe behind the closet panel, the one my father insisted I install after I bought the penthouse. "Martin," I said quietly, "did security authorize removal of a safe from my unit?" His face went pale. "No," he said. Devin stepped forward, voice thin. "She told us it was insurance inventory," he admitted. "She said you were relocating valuables because of your hospitalization." My fingers went cold, because that meant she wasn't just stealing. She was rehearsing a story for staff, giving them a script, making witnesses. Kendra's voice came through my phone again, sharp now. "Claire," she said, "are you hearing yourself? This is fraud and theft. You need police today." "I know," I said, eyes still on the frozen footage. "But first, I want the last piece." "The money?" Kendra said. "Yes," I replied, and looked at Martin. "Do you have any record of short-term rental activity?" I asked. "Any email, any listing, any printed agreement they showed you?" Martin hesitated, then nodded slowly. "The guests showed a confirmation," he admitted. "They flashed it at the desk when security questioned them." "From where?" I asked, still calm. Martin glanced at Devin. Devin swallowed and said, "It was from a short-term rental app. They said they booked a penthouse with a harbor view. They showed a receipt." My jaw tightened. "Did you copy it?" Devin looked ashamed. "No," he whispered. "We weren't sure they were aggressive. Your sister kept saying she'd handle it." Martin tapped again and pulled up a staff note. "But," he said carefully, "one of our guards wrote down the profile name used to communicate with the guests." He turned the tablet toward me. A username. ARI_LANE_LUXSTAYS. My pulse stayed steady, but inside something snapped into focus so clean it almost felt calm. She didn't just let people into my home, she branded it. I looked at Miles. "Take me upstairs?" I said, voice flat. "Right now." Martin blinked. "Ms. Elaine, you shouldn't—" "I need to check one thing," I said, already moving. "If my safe is gone, then the mess upstairs is just the distraction." As the elevator rose, I opened the resident app again and checked something I hadn't looked at yet. The section most people ignore. Registered resident contacts. My name was still there. But under it, newly added, was another line. Authorized occupant, Ari Lane. Added while I was in the hospital. Verified through the same phone callback process. I felt my stomach go cold in a way that had nothing to do with wine stains or broken decor. Because if she had herself listed as an authorized occupant, she could request replacement fobs, request access changes, even claim rights to enter, until the building removed her. And removing her would require proof, which I now had. The elevator doors opened onto my floor, and as we rolled down the corridor toward my unit, I saw something that made my chest tighten. A fresh scratch near my door lock. And on the carpet, barely visible unless you were looking for it, tiny gray plastic shavings, like someone had removed hardware recently. Miles' voice went low. "Claire?" I didn't answer. I just rolled forward, eyes fixed on my door, already knowing that whatever was missing from my safe was going to explain why Ari got bold enough to rent my home out in the first place. Inside my penthouse, the silence felt wrong, not peaceful silent. Stage silent, like someone had turned down the volume after a party so the mess would look like an accident instead of a business model. I rolled past my living room and didn't let my eyes linger on the wine stains or the broken decor. That was insult. That was noise. I went straight to my closet. Miles followed close behind, one hand hovering near my wheelchair handle like he was ready to steady me if my body decided to betray me before my brain finished. The closet looked almost normal at first glance. Clothes hung in place, shoes lined up, A few hangers turned the wrong way, like someone had been careless. Then I saw the wall panel behind the shelving. It was slightly misaligned. The seam was wider on one side, as if someone had pried it and tried to press it back. My throat tightened, but my voice stayed level. Martin, I called toward the open doorway. I need you in here, now. The property manager stepped in, eyes flicking around like he didn't want to be in a resident's bedroom. Devin hovered behind him, pale, hands clasped. I pointed with one finger. That panel was flush, I said calmly. It isn't now. Martin leaned closer. His face tightened. It looks disturbed, he admitted. Miles crouched and ran his fingers along the bottom edge. There's dust, he said quietly. Fresh. I reached for the panel latch and felt it. Loose. Too easy. I pulled. The panel came away with a soft pop, and my stomach dropped so hard it felt like a physical fall. Behind it, the space where my wall safe should have been was empty, not open, not unlocked, gone. The brackets were still there, screw holes exposed, drywall edges chipped, a faint outline where something heavy had sat for years. Someone had removed the entire safe from the wall. I didn't move for a long second. My mind went cold and sharp, cataloging. This wasn't a drunk guest stumbling into my closet. This was tools. Time. Planning. Miles whispered my name, but I didn't answer. I stared into the empty cavity and felt the old familiar truth settle in. Ari hadn't rented my home because she was reckless. She'd rented it because she thought she was safe. She thought I'd be too weak to fight back. Martin cleared his throat, voice tight. Ms. Lane, did you have valuables inside? Yes, I said simply. Jewelry, Devin asked too quietly, like he was afraid of the answer. Documents, I said. Insurance schedules, appraisals, a spare passport, my deed packet, and things that only belong to me. Miles's jaw tightened. This is burglary. I exhaled slowly through my nose. It's theft, I corrected, calm. And the mess out there was cover. Martin looked genuinely shaken now. We need to call the police, he said. Yes, I replied. And while we're waiting, I want every camera clip exported that shows a cart leaving my floor, and I want the loading dock footage with the van's plate. Clean angles. Martin nodded fast. We have cameras on the dock entrance, he said. We can pull it. I turned my chair slightly and looked at Devin. And I want the record of the verification call, I said. The one where I supposedly approved the door code change. Devin swallowed. We don't record those calls, he admitted, voice cracking. But we have call logs. Time, number, duration. That's fine, I said. Give me the log, and give me the number that answered. Devin's eyes flicked down. It was her number, he whispered. Good, I said, and I meant it. Then it's not a mystery. It's a chain. While Martin stepped out to coordinate security, I did something Ari didn't expect. I checked my own systems. Because when you live in a penthouse, you learn the difference between comfort and control. After a stalking scare years ago, I'd installed a discreet home security system. Not building cameras, mine. A small hub in a closet, motion sensors, a couple of tiny cameras aimed at the entryway and living room. I rarely used it when I was home. But when I got hospitalized, I turned it on. Quietly. Automatically. I rolled into the utility closet and opened the cabinet where the hub sat. The door was ajar, the hub's wires were disturbed, and the router was unplugged. Ari had tried to kill the connection. My hand stayed steady as I opened the security app on my phone. It loaded. And for a heartbeat, nothing appeared. Then the timeline populated. Not live. Saved clips. Because the system had cellular backup, Ari had unplugged the router, thinking she'd blinded me. She hadn't realized the camera didn't need my Wi-Fi to remember. I tapped the first clip from the night the dock camera showed the van. The video opened with my front door swinging inward. Ari stepped into frame wearing my robe like it belonged to her, laughing with someone behind her. She looked straight at my entryway camera for half a second, then away, because she didn't even see it. The angle was subtle, tucked high near a shelf. 2 men followed her inside carrying heavy tools. Ari pointed down the hallway toward my bedroom and said, "Clear as day. That wall panel comes off. The safe slides out. Don't scratch anything." She notices scratches. My skin went cold. Miles leaned closer, eyes narrowing. She said safe. I didn't respond. I kept watching. The clip jumped forward, motion triggered in segments. Ari directing, the men working, a cart rolling into my living room. Then the moment that made my throat tighten. Ari walked past my camera holding my deed packet, flipping through it like it was mail. "Perfect," she murmured. "This solves everything." I paused the clip. "Record that," I said to Miles. "Screen record it. Save it. Twice." He nodded, already doing it. The building could provide camera footage of her entering and leaving, but my camera captured her voice, her intent, her instructions, and the object she took. I called Kendra immediately. She didn't waste time. "Do not send those clips to anyone except me," she said. "We preserve originals. We preserve metadata. You let me handle distribution." I have her voice saying safe, I replied calmly, and her holding my deed packet. Kendra's tone sharpened. "That's gold," she said. "Now we move fast. Police report, building affidavit, and emergency board notice. Because she didn't just steal. She exposed you to liability." As if the universe wanted to prove Kendra right, my phone buzzed again. A new call ID, Crown Harbor HOA Board. Martin had warned me the building had rules, but I hadn't heard the board's voice yet. That usually came with consequences. I answered. "This is Claire." A woman spoke in a tight, polished tone. "Ms. Lane, this is Dana Pike, board president. We need to discuss repeated violations originating from your unit. Unauthorized occupancy, noise complaints, security incidents. We are convening an emergency compliance hearing." My pulse hit once. Not fear, focus. "Dana," I said calmly. "I was hospitalized. I did not authorize any guests. I have evidence of identity impersonation and theft by my sister." There was a pause, then a colder tone. "Your unit's access records indicate activity under your profile," she said. "We also have reports of short-term rental behavior." "Then you should be relieved," I replied evenly, "because the building's key fob logs, elevator logs, and camera footage will show my sister using her fob, and my home security footage captures her directing movers to remove my safe." Silence, then Dana said, "Careful now. You have interior footage?" "Yes," I said. I have timestamps, and I have your building logs matching them." Another pause. Longer. "Send your attorney's contact information," she said. "I already have counsel," I replied. "Kendra Shaw. She will send you a preservation and response letter today." Dana's voice tightened. "We need to ensure the building is protected," she said. "So do I replied. "Because your building was used as the stage for a crime." I ended the call and looked up to see Martin standing in the doorway again, face pale. "Police are on the way," he said. "And Ms. Lane, there's something else." "What?" I asked. He held up his tablet. "The authorized occupant edition," he said. "The one that added your sister." "Yes," I replied. "It was done while I was hospitalized." Martin swallowed. "We just found the request," he said. "The original email." My spine went colder. "From my email," I guessed. Martin nodded slowly. "It came from an address that looks like yours," he said. "Same display name, same signature style." "Pull the headers," I said immediately. Martin blinked. "The what?" "The email headers," I repeated calmly. Routing, source, the part that shows where it actually came from. Martin hesitated, then tapped through the system and turned the tablet toward me. A technical panel opened. Lines and timestamps and IP routing information. Even without being an IT expert, one detail jumped off the screen. Originating device, lobby guest Wi-Fi network. Not my home, not my phone, not my hospital room. The lobby. Martin's voice dropped. Ms. Lane, he said. This request to add your sister as an authorized occupant was sent from inside our building. I stared at the screen, steady, because that meant Ari hadn't just used my family knowledge. She'd sat in my building, probably in the lobby cafe, probably smiling at Devin, while she wrote herself into my life under my name. And the cameras downstairs would show exactly when. I didn't stay upstairs staring at the empty wall like grief was going to refill it. I rolled back to the lobby with Miles walking beside me, my phone in my hand, my security app still open on the clip where Ari said the word safe like it was nothing. Martin met us near the front desk with a printed incident packet already started. Devin was behind the counter, pale and quiet now, eyes avoiding mine like he'd finally realized helping can become aiding. We pulled the email, Martin said, voice tight. And we pulled the headers like you asked. He led us into the small boardroom off the lobby. Glass walls, a long table, a framed rules sheet on the far wall. The kind of room where people get fined for leaving a plant in the wrong place. Dana Pike was already there. Board president, posture straight, lips pressed into a line like she was bracing for a resident to yell. She didn't yell. I didn't. I set my phone on the table and slid Martin's printout toward her. Before you accuse me of violating your rules, I said calmly, read the logs. Dana's eyes flicked to the page. Or her expression changed in small increments. Confusion, then focus, then a tightness around the mouth that looked like anger trying not to show. Martin pointed with his pen. The request to add Ari Lane as an authorized occupant, he said. It came from a spoofed address using Ms. Lane's display name. Dana looked up. Spoofed? She repeated. I kept my voice steady. It looks like my email, I said. But the headers show where it originated? Martin tapped the line that mattered. Originating network, he said. Crown Harbor guest Wi-Fi. Dana blinked once. Inside the building. Yes, I replied. While I was hospitalized. Dana's jaw tightened. We're going to need our IT vendor to validate this, she said automatically, like procedure was her comfort blanket. Great, I said, because you're going to want this clean. Martin nodded. Already called, he said. 2 minutes later, a man in a polo shirt stepped in carrying a laptop case, badge clipped to his belt. I'm IT security contractor, the kind of person who doesn't care about family drama, only data. He took the header printout, scanned it, then asked Martin for access to the building's captive portal logs. Martin pulled up a dashboard on his tablet and handed it over. The IT contractor typed for a moment, then rotated the screen toward Dana. This device authenticated to the guest network at the exact time the email was sent, he said. And it stayed connected for 43 minutes. Dana leaned in. Can you identify the device? MAC address device signature, he said. Looks like a laptop. Apple. And it later connected again on a different day at a similar time. Dana's eyes flicked to me. Are you saying your sister sat in our lobby and did this? I'm saying, I replied calmly. Your cameras can show exactly who was sitting in your lobby at that time. Martin was already pulling up the lobby camera index. He scrubbed to the timestamp on the Wi-Fi log. The lobby footage appeared. Clean, wide angle, the coffee table, the reception desk, the hallway to the mailroom. Then Ari walked into frame. Not rushed, not nervous. She carried a tote bag and a slim laptop, hair pulled back like she was here to work. She sat in the corner seating area with a latte, opened her laptop, and leaned in close like she was writing something careful. Then, like she was on cue, Devon walked past the seating area. Ari tilted her head up, smiled at him, and said something. Devon stopped. He nodded. He walked to the desk. He printed something, he carried it to her. Ari took it, slid it into her tote, and kept typing. Dana stared at the screen. Devon, she said, voice flat. Devon swallowed hard behind the glass wall. I didn't know, he whispered. Dana didn't look away from the footage. You printed something for her, she said. Devon's voice cracked. She said it was a medical authorization letter, he admitted. She said Claire needed it for insurance. I thought I was helping. I didn't move. I didn't accuse him with my tone. I let the camera do it. Martin paused the footage and looked at Dana. She used our staff, he said quietly, and she used our network. Dana's face had turned a colder shade. This building is not going to be used as a fraud hub, she said. Good, I replied, because that's exactly what happened. Miles leaned closer to me. Ask about fobs, he murmured. I nodded once. Martin, I said, I want the fob issuance history. Every fob ever issued to my unit. Dates, authorization, pickup. Martin tapped quickly, pulled up a list and scrolled. His finger stopped. He went quiet again. What? I asked. There was a replacement fob issued, he said carefully. 2 days after you were admitted? Dana's eyes narrowed. A replacement? Martin nodded. Requested by the newly added authorized occupant, he said. Picked up at the desk. Devon's face went gray. Martin clicked into the pickup record and turned the tablet toward us. Signature captured on a digital pad. A scribble that tried to look like mine. And a timestamp. Dana's voice sharpened. We have camera coverage on the front desk, she said immediately. Pull it, I said. Martin pulled the desk camera. The footage showed Ari standing at the counter, smiling sweetly, signing the pad, and taking a small envelope from Devon. A fob envelope. She slid it into her tote like it was a lipstick. Then she turned and walked toward the private elevator without even looking back. Dana's expression changed into something I hadn't expected from her. Embarrassment, because she'd been ready to fine me for violations, and instead she was watching her own systems get played. The boardroom door opened again. This time 2 uniformed officers and a woman in plain clothes stepped in. Detective posture, calm eyes, clipboard. The kind of presence that makes a room stop performing. I'm Detective Shu, she said, looking at Martin first. We got a call about unlawful entry, identity impersonation, and theft. Martin nodded quickly. Yes, he said. We have logs, we have camera footage, we have a resident statement. Detective Shu looked at me. Ms. Lane? Yes, I replied. Tell me what you know, she said. Just facts. So I gave her facts. Hospitalized, concierge call, elevator list, door code changed via secondary contact callback, guests claiming a rental, unit trashed, safe removed, building footage of a van at the loading dock, building logs matching fob entries, my interior camera clips capturing Ari directing removal of the safe and handling my deed packet. Email headers showing the authorized occupant request originated from the building's guest Wi-Fi. Lobby footage showing Ari on a laptop at the exact time. Detective Shu didn't react emotionally. She reacted procedurally. Export copies, she told Martin. Full resolution, include timestamps, include system logs, preserve originals. Martin nodded, already moving. Detective Hashu turned to Dana. Ma'am, she said, your building will need to provide a statement verifying access systems and that Ms. Lane was hospitalized. This helps establish unauthorized entry. Dana's spine straightened. We will cooperate, she said tightly. and we are revoking Ari Lane's access immediately." Detective Shu nodded once. Then she turned to me again. "Do you know where your sister took the safe?" she asked. I don't," I answered honestly. "But your team has the loading dock clip and the van." Martin spoke up. "We can pull garage entrance cameras too," he said. "We capture plates on entry." "Do it," Detective Hahu said. Martin tapped through another camera feed, garage entry. The white cargo van rolled in. The plate was visible for a second in the corner of the frame. Martin zoomed and froze it. Detective Hahu leaned in, read the plate, and typed it into her phone. And her eyes shifted slightly, like something came back fast. Then she looked up at me. "Your sister rented a storage unit last month," she said calmly. "And the address on the contract is this building." My stomach tightened, but my voice stayed level. "So the safe is in storage?" "That's likely," she replied. "Now I need one more thing from you. Do you want to press charges?" "Yes," I said immediately. No drama, no wavering. "Yes." Detective Ha nodded once, satisfied, and turned to Martin. "While you export," she said, I want staff statements. The concierge call. The code change verification record. The fob pickup." Devon's voice trembled. "I didn't mean—" Detective Shu didn't soften, but she didn't attack him either. "I'm not asking what you meant," she said. "I'm asking what you did, and what you saw." As Martin hurried into the security office to start the exports, Dana sat down slowly, hands clasped, like she was trying to stay composed while her building's reputation cracked on camera. Miles leaned close to me. "She's coming back," he whispered. I frowned. "What makes you say that?" He tilted his chin toward the lobby monitors, and on one of the live feeds, the private elevator doors opened. And Ari stepped out, alone, walking fast, tote bag on her shoulder like she was in a hurry to retrieve something before anyone noticed. Detective Shu followed my gaze and saw her too. Her eyes narrowed. Then she said very calmly, "That's your sister, isn't it?" "Yes," I replied. Detective Hao set her clipboard down, stepped into the lobby, and spoke into her radio without raising her voice. "I need a unit at Crown Harbor lobby entrance," she said. "Possible suspect on scene." Ari was already heading for the desk, probably to demand access back, probably to threaten Devon, probably to grab whatever she thought she still controlled. And she had no idea the building had already turned her entire week into a timeline. Ari didn't walk into the lobby like someone who'd been caught. She walked in like someone who expected to be obeyed. Her tote bag bounced against her hip, sunglasses perched on her head, and she headed straight for the front desk with the same entitled posture she'd had since we were kids, like rules were for other people. Devon saw her first. His face drained of color. Dana Pike stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. And Detective Hashu stepped out of the boardroom with the kind of calm that makes people freeze without knowing why. "Ari Lane?" she called, clear and even. Ari stopped mid-step and turned, blinking once like she didn't understand the scene she'd walked into. Then her eyes landed on me in the glass-walled boardroom, and her mouth tightened. "Oh," she said, voice light. "So you're home?" Detective Shu approached slowly. "Ma'am, I'm with the police. We're investigating unauthorized entry and theft connected to Penthouse Lane." Ari laughed softly like it was ridiculous. "Theft?" she repeated. "Please, I was helping. She was hospitalized." Shu's eyes stayed steady. "Then you won't mind answering questions," she said. Ari's smile thinned. "Do you have a warrant?" she snapped, the first crack in her performance. Shu nodded once, almost politely. "Well, not yet," she said. "But we have building access logs, elevator authorization records, fob issuance history, lobby surveillance, and loading dock footage that show you entering and facilitating removal of property." Ari's eyes flicked to the desk camera, then to the lobby monitors, then back to Shu. Her breathing changed, faster, shallower. Those logs don't mean anything, she said quickly. I'm an authorized occupant. Dana Pike stepped forward, voice sharp. Not anymore, she said. Your access is revoked, immediately. Aries' head snapped toward Dana. You can't do that. Dana didn't blink. I can, she said. And I am. Aries turned to Devon, desperate now. Devon, she hissed. Tell them I'm authorized. Devon looked like he might be sick. You were, he stammered. But nothing, Aries snapped. Fix it. Detective Hisu held up a hand. Ma'am, she said calmly, do not intimidate staff. Ari's eyes flashed. I'm not intimidating anyone. Shu's voice stayed level. Then step away from the counter. Ari took a step back, forced a smile again, and looked straight at me through the glass like she was trying to provoke me into a reaction she could film. Claire! She called, loud enough to turn heads in the lobby. You always do this. You always need drama. You're fine. It's just a mess. I didn't answer her. I opened my phone and tapped the interior security clip, the one with her voice. Then I handed the phone to Detective Hu. Shu listened for 10 seconds. Her face didn't change, but her eyes tightened slightly, the sign that something crossed the line from suspicion to certainty. She paused the audio, looked at Ari, and asked one clean question. Where is the safe you removed from the wall? Shu said. Ari blinked. What safe? Shu didn't argue. She held up the phone so Ari could hear her own voice. That wall panel comes off, the safe slides out. Ari's face shifted, fast, before she caught it. A flicker of panic. That's edited, she snapped. Shu's gaze stayed steady. We'll let a forensic examiner decide, she said. Now answer the question. Where's the safe? Ari's lips pressed together. Dana Pike whispered something to Martin near the security office door, and Martin nodded, already typing on his tablet. Asu turned slightly and spoke into her radio again. If she attempts to leave, detain, she said, calm. Ari's head snapped up. You can't detain me, she hissed. Shu's eyes didn't blink. Watch me. Ari's breathing quickened. She glanced toward the exit like her body wanted to run, but her pride wouldn't let her. That's when Martin returned from the security office holding his tablet like it was a weapon. Detective, he said quickly. Garage plate capture from the cargo van, we pulled it. Shu leaned in, read the plate, and typed again. A beat. Then her phone buzzed. Shu's eyes moved as she read whatever came back. Then she looked up at Ari. That van is registered to a company connected to a storage facility, she said calmly. And your name appears on a rental contract. Ari's face went tight. That doesn't mean... Stop, Shu cut in, still calm. It means you rented storage. It means property was moved. And it means you may be in possession of stolen items. Ari's voice rose. It's not stolen, it's family. The word family landed in the lobby like a slap. And I finally spoke. Not loud, not emotional, just precise. It's mine, I said. And you took it while I was hospitalized. Ari's eyes burned. You wouldn't have that penthouse if Grandpa didn't leave you everything, she snapped. You think you're better because you got lucky. There it was. The motive she'd been hiding under, helping. Jealousy dressed up as caregiving. I didn't argue with her resentment. I didn't defend my inheritance. I didn't justify my life. I let the evidence do it. Detective Hisu turned to me. You want charges? She said. Yes, I replied. Sue nodded once. Okay, she said. Then she turned to Ari. Ma'am, you are being detained for investigation. Do not resist. Ari stepped back sharply. No, she snapped. No, this is insane. Two officers at the lobby entrance moved in, controlled and professional. Ari's eyes darted. Then she did exactly what she'd always done when she felt cornered. She tried to flip the story. "She's lying," Ari shouted, loud enough for residents to look up from their phones. "She's unstable. She's on meds. She's making this up because she hates me." I didn't react. I watched her perform for witnesses like my life was a stage. Shu didn't react either. She simply said, "Ma'am, you are on camera picking up a replacement fob under a forged signature. You are on camera bringing guests with suitcases. You are on camera directing removal of a safe." Ari's mouth opened. Nothing came out clean. The officers guided her hands behind her back and cuffed her. Ari twisted, trying to look strong, but her eyes were wet with panic now. As they led her toward the side hallway, she looked back at me and spat. "You're going to regret this." I didn't raise my voice. "You already decided that for me," I said quietly. "I'm just returning what you took." Over the following week, Crown Harbor issued certified copies of the key fob logs, elevator authorization records, the code change verification history, and lobby/garage/loading dock surveillance to Detective Shu's unit. The email headers and guest Wi-Fi authentication logs confirmed the authorized occupant request originated inside the building, not from my devices. My interior security footage provided direct audio of Ari instructing removal of the wall safe and handling my deed packet. Police obtained a warrant for the storage unit tied to Ari's rental contract and recovered the safe, my documents, and multiple items taken from my home. Ari was charged with identity theft, burglary-related offenses, and theft of property, and the building permanently barred her from the premises. The HOA withdrew the compliance hearing against me and issued a formal statement clearing me of any violation because the log showed I was hospitalized during the entries. I replaced the door hardware, reset all contacts, and removed every secondary access point I'd ever given out of guilt. When I finally slept again, it wasn't because the mess was cleaned, it was because the timeline was sealed. In the comments, tell me this. If you were hospitalized and came home to strangers living in your home, would you confront your family first? Or would you do what I did and go straight to logs, cameras, and a preserved record? If you want more stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Welcome to the Story Channel. Before we begin, I'd like to share a few notes. The content in this video uses AI-generated images and voice narration, combined with the channel's creative editing. Everything is intended solely for entertainment purposes and does not depict or reflect any real events or real people. Hope you enjoy the story and have a great time watching.